Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the Cabin Fever podcast. It's Brent Bailey, and it's another great day to be alive. Hopefully, you're having a great day wherever you are. It is a beautiful day here at the Cabin Fever Studios in Central Florida. We've been working feverishly for you this week. We've been working. We recorded a bunch of shows yesterday for a later date. We got some new things that we're getting ready to start on the program. And so we recorded several shows yesterday for something we're going to call Absolute Direction, where we're going to actually bring in a guest who is an expert in their field, and we're going to exhaust the topic as much as we can over a few minutes together. But we're going to have them on for consecutive shows. So we've got a couple of great shows, actually 6 that we recorded yesterday, getting ready for a later date. And so our first one's going to be with Tina Conkin, who is a relationship expert to, I don't want to say to the stars, but she is really to the stars. She is also just an incredible resource for people who are trying to enrich their marriage or repair their marriage, but really just to help them get healthy as they move into this, whatever the next phase of their marriage is. So we got a series done with her. We also got a series done with Dr. Mark Sherwood, and those are going to be coming up. We'll let you know about that in the near future. So with that being said, let's get this show on the road. And I'm looking right now over at Jody and Luke, and I just looking over at the sound booth. Guys, you guys doing okay over there? Yeah. So.
Doing good.
All right.
Doing good.
So there we go.
There we
and let's
go.
get the show on the road. All right. All right. So we got a lot to talk about today. I got a great guest that's going to be coming on here in just a little bit. Her name is Jane Ann Craig, and she is a real success story. And we can't wait to bring her out here in just a few minutes. She's got a great book entitled The Audit Principle, and or the Audit Principle or Factor? It's Principle, right? Audit Principle. So we're going to bring her out here in just a little bit, and really excited to have her on the program today. But there's lots going on in the country right now.
Yes, there are.
Let's start with the elephant in the room. Did anybody watch Melania last night?
Yes.
No.
No, it did not. I didn't think so. No.
I don't care where you stand politically.
Right.
Her speech was awesome.
It was awesome.
It was absolutely awesome.
She was so gracious, and it was great.
It was great. And one of the things that she did mention last night was this is the 100th.
100th?
Go ahead. I'll let you say because I don't want to say it wrong.
Yeah, the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. And that it was giving women the right to vote.
That's right.
And yeah, very, very, very important day in our history.
And so this is the day that it took a while.
It did. It
for
really
us
did.
to figure it out, which is a lot of things that we, I am probably going to get some little bit of criticism for this statement, but listen, nobody starts with everything figured out.
No, not at all.
And so when our country started, there were a lot of things we were doing wrong.
Yes.
It was the idea that we were trying to achieve, though.
Right.
And that's where things did progress.
Yes.
And listen, they're still progressing. As a nation, we're still very young compared to the rest of the nations of the world. We're a very young nation. And so even though we do think that we should have it all figured out, we don't have it all figured out. But today we're celebrating one of the things that we did finally get right.
In 1920, National Women's Equality Day.
Yeah, and so Melania mentioned it last night in the her speech, and we just celebrate women today. It's very fitting to have Jane Ann on today.
Absolutely, perfect timing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what else is going on today?
Today is National Cherry Popsicle Day.
Well, that's important.
Yeah,
I mean,
super important.
I wonder if Preston or Peyton are going to demand. Do they even know that it's probably
you probably don't want to let them know.
Yeah, because they'd be like, "Oh, that's what I want for dinner."
I wasn't allowed to eat stuff like that as a little kid because my mom, anytime she'd give me Red 40, I'd be bouncing off the walls.
What's Red 40?
What is Red
That's
40?
like the dye that they use in those.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Oh,
And they say that it makes
Luke
kids
just
hyper.
educated everybody
Yeah.
right
He
there.
did. Woo!
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So, National Cherry Popsicle Day. What else?
Now hold tight. National Web Mistress Day. Okay.
I don't even know if we need to
Before
talk about
anyone's
that.
mind.
Do we need to talk about that, or should
Yes,
we move on?
because
Okay.
we need to clarify.
God,
Again,
yeah,
it's
you
Women's
better, because that
Equality
sounds
Day.
terrible.
A web mistress is a woman who designs, develops, markets, and maintains websites. It's existed. That term has existed since the mid 1990s.
All right, now I get it now, because somebody
Yeah.
that does that, it's a man, I guess, is called a webmaster.
Exactly.
Okay.
Web mistress.
That's dumb.
That's
so dumb.
I don't like it.
All right, I am not here to offend women,
No.
but women can be a master too.
Yes.
Yes, they
Why do you
can.
need to call them a mistress? That is completely giving the wrong.
Different.
That's so
The
funny.
wrong. I was like,
There.
are we really celebrating pornography right now? What are we doing? Holy moly, web mistress.
No,
Okay.
we're not.
All right.
Yes.
What else? What else is going on?
And then National Dog Day.
All right.
National Dog Day.
There's our
What's that?
question for the day, and we want you to respond. Post your pictures of you and your dog
We
below
have
us,
some pictures.
right there, and we're going to throw up a couple pictures right now. There's Luke and Chico.
Me and Chico.
Oh, isn't he beautiful? What kind of dog is he again?
He is a pit bull, but I guess more accurately, he's an American Staffordshire Terrier.
Woo.
So he is the AKC version
Yes.
of the
Yeah.
He is.
of the pit bull.
He's legit.
He is legit.
He's a good-looking dog. He's healthy.
is.
All right. Let's see who else.
Oh my God.
There's our boy Vinny.
Yes.
He's still in Kentucky right now, staying with the grandparents, but
Yes.
He's a cutie.
he's
He is
chilling it
cute.
well. And the reason he's not here with us is because we moved into a new house. We didn't want him to be able to be at our, because he's a Jack Russell, so he's at our feet. We'd be
Tearing
to
things
falling
up.
and tearing things up
We
and
don't want
getting.
that.
So is that Peyton that's in the picture with
It
him?
is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's Vinny boy.
Yep. So that's all I have.
Oh, that's all you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So post pictures of your dog below. Today's National Dog Day, right below us, and you can throw up a picture of yourself with your dog, or at least tell us what kind of dog you have. All right. A couple of things I was noticing while we were getting ready for the show today. I know that kids went back to school. Like I know in some states they went back. Here we went back 2 weeks ago.
yes.
But in some states today was the first day of school.
Right.
And I know a lot of folks are online, and this
Yeah.
may not be a big deal to anybody, but parents, I know budget's a big deal, and you're looking for. A few years ago, Payless shoe stores just disappeared.
Right.
They're back.
Yay.
So people that are looking
like
to
it.
buy clothes on a budget, Payless is back. They have a new website that you can go ahead and start ordering shoes from right now,
Cool.
and they're going to open up some of the stores again.
Awesome.
I know that right before there was a trend there, right before COVID, there was a trend that people were starting to go back to malls and shopping centers because they missed the social interaction because so many people were buying stuff
Right.
on Amazon and by mail.
Yeah.
And so now the stores are starting to, I saw where, some people already probably saw that, but Toys R Us is coming back. There's a lot of
Yes.
stores that are starting
Really,
to come
Toys
back.
R Us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Payless, I'm sure, is probably adopting that same model where they're not going to have as many stores of their own, but they're going to have a corner of another store.
You know what I could see like Toys R Us doing is like having like a concession area in there. Because you go to Toys R Us
They do
and you
need
just want to play with toys.
Listen, when I was growing up, we used to go to those department stores, Kmart, Hills, those kind of places. They had a concession area.
yeah,
Like you could go and eat lunch
Yeah.
there, or grab popcorn or
Yeah.
big icy or whatever, and stand in the video games and all that and play. Yeah, brilliant.
yeah.
It's a
It would
brilliant
just make
idea.
it way more fun. Because I remember going to Toys R Us as a kid, and just like we'd stay there for a while because you just want to go and play with everything.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
brilliant.
I would never want
Well,
to work there.
Payless, I don't know how they could, I don't think you want to do that, but Payless is coming back, especially for you parents that are trying to outfit many kids. If you got multiple kids on a budget, Payless
Right.
is on its way back. Here's something else really cool, and we got to hurry. Lucky Charms. They're magically delicious. Do you
They
know
are.
That? You knew that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are actually going to sell bags of just the marshmallows. Now, I don't know. Every time we bought them for our kids would just sit and eat the marshmallows, and eventually you just had a
You
box
thought
of...
it was the kids. It was actually me.
Was it you? Okay. And so you just have a box of bland cereal.
We're all guilty of that, Jody.
Oh my gosh.
But now they are selling just the magical marshmallows.
Nice.
I love how the business world is adapting to change and what people really want.
I
right now.
know. I know.
So if you want to, if you are one of those folks that really like the marshmallows, the pink hearts, yellow moons, orange stars, green clovers,
So pretty much anybody
blue
that likes
diamonds,
Lucky
and
Charms.
purple horseshoes, and now unicorns and rainbows. And
We have good news for
you
you.
can go back and do that. All right, here's one more thing. Starbucks started selling pumpkin spice latte today, so I guess fall is officially here, even though it's not. It is here right now, and so pumpkin spice went on sale today at Starbucks. People are trying to really get 2020.
They are. I mean,
They're just
let
pushing.
me just say this. I went into Hobby Lobby yesterday, and I would tell you probably 15 to 20 big aisles of Christmas.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, most you guys don't have it. Nobody has access to us before we go on the air. So Jody and I were just in the dressing room getting ready, and sure enough, we started talking about Christmas, and it's August.
I know.
But it is happening,
I don't
so.
want to make plans yet.
So pumpkin spice latte is on sale today
Yes.
at Starbucks. And lastly, Domino's has launched 2 new flavors of pizza. Which I thought pizza's pizza.
Yeah.
I mean,
Two
But
flavors.
two
Are they making
flavors.
Are they making cloud pizza now?
That's brilliant.
it is.
Right?
Man, they should try that. So Domino's has launched a taco and a cheeseburger flavored pizza.
Cheeseburger, maybe.
I just don't.
I don't know.
I'm not a
It's just
Domino's
weird.
fan anymore. I used to love it,
Let's
but
just,
so
keep. Well, pizza is pizza. So
pizza is pizza, and
let's just stick
it
to
is.
Yeah, it's hard to get it
yeah.
wrong, right?
it is what it is.
Oh, you could.
All right.
Anyway.
I'm so pleased today to have with us as our guest Jane Ann Craig, and I'm going to be bringing her out here in just a second. But Jane Ann was a widowed single mom. She quit her job at the age of 39 years old, and she didn't have a business degree or anything like that. Minimal financial resources. She started a company from scratch, and then sold it to a multi-billion-dollar company for millions of dollars. After all this happened, she started something called the Audit Principle. This is a book, and she is going to come on and tell us a little bit about that. I know that when I was talking to her about being on the show, she's like, I can do it that day, but I'm gonna be out on my sailboat. Is that okay? And I was like, no, absolutely not. We can't. No, I'm just kidding. We were like, yeah, of course. Now things worked out, and she's actually in her office today. But I'm so grateful to have her on the program, especially on a day like today where we're celebrating the success of women. I'm really pleased to have her on the program today. Please welcome to the Cabin Fever podcast, Jane Ann Craig. Jane Ann, what's happening?
Brent, guys,
How's it going?
it's going great, and it's fun to see you guys in action this morning.
Well,
This afternoon.
yeah, I guess. Well, it is afternoon where you are right now. And the West Coast folks it is morning, but anyway, I noticed first thing first when you told us you were going to be on your sailboat possibly during this. I was so excited. I thought that was going to be extremely cool to see you out on the water. But I noticed it's on the cover of your book. Is that your boat that we see kind of in the background on the cover of the book there?
That is a sail. You did catch that correctly.
But it's not yours.
Well, not technically, no.
All right, so let's just jump into it here. How have you been doing during COVID? How is it affecting you? Everything going well?
COVID has been, golly, I want to be sensitive in saying this because I know it's been a challenge and it's cost a lot of people quite a bit, but it's been a very full and prosperous time for my family and for many of the people that I've been around. In fact, early on, we had to sit down, my husband and I, and go, what is this great pause that people are talking about? Because life was busy and full. And so we've kind of learned how to take advantage of the great pause. We're still working and we're still enjoying success, but we do it from the waist up. So we've made lots of little adjustments where we wear flip-flops and shorts, and maybe we work from the boat. and things like that.
I'm
But
so I'm so glad you clarified, because I had this image of you and your husband just doing like Zoom meetings, like so many of the other folks are just in their pajamas or their underwear, whatever. So I know you're probably more professional than that. So thanks for clarifying that. But let's just jump into your story a little bit here. I know that you went through a real season in your life where things just were hard.
Yeah, yeah. I very unexpectedly my husband passed away, and so our life changed pretty much overnight, and so that was a tough season. And about 3 years into it, I realized that where I was at, my job, although it'd been a great job, I'd worked for them for 16 years, and it had gotten me through college, gotten me to Utah, helped me meet my husband. But it no longer served me because I was a widow, and I wanted to be there for my son full time, essentially. Wanted to take him to school, pick him up, travel together. And so as a result of that experience, I decided to quit my job and to start a company. And that's kind of where the whole audit principle starts. Looking back, I see it in every aspect of my life, but it was having to deal with the tough situation of losing my husband, suddenly being a widow, and the sole provider of a 2-year-old.
Now, let me just ask you, what was your job? What were you doing in that season?
So I worked as a sales director for an insurance company. I'd started as the receptionist and just kind of worked my way up into a sales management position. It'd taken me from Southern California to Portland to Albuquerque to Bismarck, North Dakota, ultimately bringing me to Utah. And so that's what I ended up doing. Is I started an insurance company, and not because I wanted to, but it was when I realized that working for the company, they were promoting me, they were expanding my territory, they were, all the things that normally are a great thing. But once you figure out where you ultimately want to be, and you realize that where you are, it doesn't serve that, we have a choice to make. And my choice was, I want to be an actively engaged and present mom to my son. And so with that, I decided I needed to do something different, because with every promotion, it meant they expanded my territory, which meant I had to travel more. And so that was really the facilitating factor for starting a company. The day I decided to do it, I literally got the idea, raced to my office, typed up a resignation letter, ran to Kinko's, overnighted it before I could change my mind, came home, called my boss. 30 days later, I was unemployed, working on my first business plan. So wow. I thought it would take 3 to 5 years to build it. That's what my business plan said. It took 15 years, but it was a wonderful 15 years. Accomplished a lot, and in that 15 years, it gave me a platform. It gave me a level of influence. It gave me a level of wealth that in 2016, when I was ready to I sold the companies. One company grew to 4 companies. I sold them in 2011, 2 of the companies to Blue Cross Blue Shield out of South Carolina, 2 other companies to Companion Life Insurance. And then I stayed on as their CEO for another 5 years until stepping down to write the book, The Audit Principle.
That is, I want to pull back just a little bit, because there's so much here that we could talk. First of all, I'm going to go way back on you here. You started as a receptionist at an insurance sales company.
I did, and I'm really big on starting at the bottom. Scripture says, "Don't despise small beginnings."
Right.
I think the receptionist is one of the most influential people in an organization, because you have a lot of opportunities. You have opportunities to pick people up at the airport. You have the opportunities to go into the boardroom when nobody else does, even if it's just to deliver sandwiches. You have the opportunity to serve your executives. And so I didn't realize it at the time, but I was building influence, and every time a door opened, anytime anybody needed anything, I volunteered to help. And so I think had I not been the receptionist, I never would have ended up thinking I knew enough to become ultimately a CEO and a founder of a company.
My goodness, that is extremely powerful right there, because in today's climate of the world we live in, everybody wants to start, at an area that they deem to be worthy, I guess, of what they can do. And the working your way up mentality doesn't really exist very much anymore. But to hear you frame that, it's almost like you recognized it from the very get-go. This is how I'm going to start, but this is not where I'm going to finish.
I got my job to put myself through college thinking that maybe I'd be a doctor. So I really had no intention of becoming an insurance executive. I don't think anybody plans on becoming an insurance executive. It's just not that sexy. but as I was following the plan to become the doctor, I got the job, in a healthcare related industry called insurance, and doors began to open. And so, but when I started, I even flunked all the entrance exams. They did a test, a 9-key test, a spelling test. I just wasn't really that great of material to work with, but I was passionate and I was hungry, and the boss saw that in me and he hired me. And so kind of on a cool note, when I started my company, I didn't hire any college graduates. I hired my babysitter. I hired my karate instructor. I hired the kid that flipped burgers at McDonald's. And so I hired young people that were very similar to the boat that I was in. And today they are my executive team. And they now can say that they are executives working in a multi-billion-dollar organization. So,
wow. That's so powerful, Jane Ann. I mean, to hear how you started and you grabbed people that were very similar to where you were in your life, and it just mentored them right on through. Now, I want to get to the book real quick. The Audit Principle is 5 powerful steps to align your life with the law of success. And I know that you said, looking back on it, you could see that it was operating in your life the whole time. I don't want to give everything away, but how and where did you see that principle that's worked through your life now, or those principles?
Okay, so you kind of asked 2 questions. I'll just jump right to
as best as you can. It's okay.
Yeah,
I can clarify if you need me to.
Yeah, the title of the Audit Principle, it's actually a little bit misleading, but I feel like that since I was given the opportunity to have a voice in the secular world, I wanted to have a book that really took a secular approach, but at the core of it was always biblical principles. And so the Audit Principle came as a result of the first time I was ever audited. And a couple of weeks before Christmas, I get notification that my company is to be audited. And it's not an IRS audit. That would have been a lot better. It was a regulatory audit where they look at everything. They look at your finances. They look at your processes and systems. They look at your people. I mean, they look at everything. And so I thought, okay, I've got 2 weeks to prepare. And so I thought I'd go in and do a pre-audit. And it was in the pre-audit, I think it was the very first night as I'm going through files, I began to realize, we've let some systems slip. We failed to put some processes in place. And the more I dug into it, the more I realized we're not ready for this audit. We may actually fail it. And the minute I had that realization, I found myself going through 3 stages. First was denial. I refused to believe it. I just kept thinking, dig, Jane Ann, dig, it's there. But if something's not there, it's not there. If something's not working, it doesn't work. So then I slipped into making excuses. And we had really good excuses. I'd had a hostile takeover attempt. We had financial issues. I had a bad partnership. Oh, I had breast cancer. I mean, I had really legitimate excuses. But then I realized that excuses weren't relevant in an audit. All that was relevant was, were we in compliance? And so from there, I caught myself going into blame. And I began to blame the regulators, competitors. But when I began to blame people I love, my employees, people that I knew that I cared about, it was in that moment that I had an epiphany. And the epiphany is this: denial, excuses, and blame, they're not relevant in an audit. All that's relevant is, are you in compliance with the law of success for what you're trying to achieve? The quicker we get rid of denial, excuses, and blame, they're nothing more than time thieves. And so that's where the audit.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I mean, you just dropped a major bomb right there. Once you get rid of those, you realize that they're nothing more than time thieves. Again, I'm trying not to give away too much of this, but how do you recognize it? I mean, I know that you went through an audit, but are there ways people can start to recognize these things without having such a crisis thing come at them?
So what I did is I use business, but I also, I realize that people are inspired by our success, but they're more inspired by the struggles that we go to get through them. And so I talk quite a bit about overcoming grief and the loss of my husband. We believed that he was going to beat the cancer, and we fought the good fight for 8 months, and he didn't. And in that moment, in that hospital, there was an audit principle moment where I had to assess where I was at and make a decision that, in spite of where I was at, in spite of my grief, in spite of my depression, and in spite of my disappointment, that my son wasn't going to lose his mom and dad that night. And I had to make the decision that I would be a present and engaged mom. Well, by making that decision, by recognizing that where I felt didn't support where I wanted to be, when I walked out that door, every decision I made thereafter aligned with the goal of being a present, active, and engaged mom. And so that's an example. And I can give you struggle after struggle. The audit just kind of explained it in a really simple, secular way that allowed me to write it as a business book. But we can all see that if we'll identify where we're at isn't working, if it's a simple business principle. I mean, the day that I had the revelation on like a Monday night, Tuesday I go into the office, and I declared to my staff, I apologize for stuff. I told them, from this day on, we're going to celebrate when we figure out things that aren't working, and we'd assess where we were at. No excuses, denial, or blame. We'd sit down, we'd come up with solutions, we'd map out a plan, and we'd follow it. And so whether it's a simple software program that's not working that maybe IT put together for marketing, we quit wasting the time and losing the time and began to address issues. It changed the entire culture of our company. And now I use the principle with a lot of consulting clients. So it's a little bit of common sense, but it's understanding that where you're at, the moment you understand where you're at doesn't support where you need to be, then there's some steps that you can take so that you can get where you want to be.
This is Jane Ann Craig, and as you can tell, this is powerful things that we're talking about here today. If you'd like to get a copy of the book, and I highly encourage that you do, you can go right on Amazon and buy it right now. It's called The Audit Principle: 5 Powerful Steps to Align Your Life with the Law of Success. And I love that you say the moment you realize that how you feel doesn't align with where you want to go, you can start making those changes. And man, that right there is worth the price of admission, folks, even though it's free. Folks, yeah, go ahead.
Well, as you say, but it's not just how you feel. It's when you realize that where you're at is not working. Sometimes feelings have nothing to do with it.
So good. I wish we had more time with you. You're definitely going to come back on the program because we could talk about this for hours at a time. This is Jane Ann Craig. Thank you so much for coming and taking the time to be on the program today. Again, if you'd like to reach out to Jane Ann or at least get a copy of the book, you can do that on Amazon. You can also go to her website. There are resources there, janeanncraig.com. She's also on Facebook at Jane Ann International, or INT. Man, we highly encourage everybody on our show. We encourage people to get their hands on the resources and follow them on social media and things like that. This is powerful today. when we have you back, and we will have you back, we'll discuss this in more detail, and we'll give you a lot more time because, my goodness, this was great today. Thank you so much for coming and being with us. Anything you want to say before we let you go?
You know what? Thanks so much for having me, and thank you guys for doing this every week. We need to be lifted up and encouraged, so thank you.
You're awesome, and we can't wait to see you again, hopefully at one of the events real soon.
And yeah, thank you.
No, go ahead. We got time. You're
Well,
okay.
I was gonna say one of the really cool things about going into COVID is that we did go to one of the events. We went to the Hawaii Increase event in March, and that literally launched us with such a great attitude and such. We were fueled and ready to face what we came back to. So yeah.
Yeah, it is, and I hopefully we will see you soon at something. We're really praying and believing that this thing gets over with quick so that we can. I know it's been longer than what everybody thought it would be, but so we can really get back to seeing some of you wonderful people in face to face. So, thanks for coming and being with us today. Have a great rest of your day. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. That's Jane Ann Craig. And as you can tell, man alive, that's powerful stuff that she was talking about right there. On the day that we celebrate the 100th anniversary of of women's suffrage, man, she couldn't have been a better guest for us today. If you'd like to reach out to her again, it's Jane Ann Craig. Somebody throw that up there for me so I can see it. JaneAnnCraig.com and Jane Ann INT on Facebook. Grab a copy of the book, The Audit Principle. Coming up Friday on the program, I've got another great guest in store for you. I've got the author of a book called The Jewish Secret, Alan Asp, and he's going to be with us on Friday to talk about his book. And when I talked to him about being on the program, he said, during this time, I'm having record-breaking numbers in my business. That's the kind of thing that happens when you really know who you are and what you're supposed to be doing. And you give all the props to God that helps you get there. So for Jody and for Luke, my thanks again to Jane Ann Craig, who was just a powerful guest today. We'll see you on Friday for Alan Asp. God bless. Have a great rest of your day. Get outside and break the cabin fever. We'll see you